Red Bull has finally confirmed what many experts had already anticipated. The 2025 campaign may be definitively compromised. Helmut Marko, the team's strategic advisor, was categorical in stating that winning the championship this year is an impossible mission. However, could this early admission be masking even more serious issues in the corridors of the Milton Keynes base? The Hungarian Grand Prix left painful marks on the Austrian team. Max Verstappen, the current four-time champion who for years controlled the top category of world motorsport with absolute authority, crossed the finish line in 9th place, an impressive 72 seconds behind winner Lando Norris. To gauge the magnitude of the failure, this was only the second time in the last 65 events that the Dutch driver finished outside the top 6. The gravity of the situation is such that Verstappen himself has publicly expressed doubts about achieving any victories for the rest of the season. At the same time, McLaren is enjoying a period of total supremacy. Norris achieved his 7th 1-2 finish of the current campaign alongside Oscar Piastri, establishing a hegemony that is proving increasingly solid. The advantage in the Constructors' Championship is devastating. The Woking-based team has more than twice the points of any rival. In the individual standings, Verstappen is 97 points ahead of the leader, a gap that seems impossible to overcome considering only a few races remain on the schedule. To illustrate this reality, it would be essential for Norris to face a series of setbacks and retirements while Verstappen wins all of his remaining races. But what were the determining factors at Hungaroring that triggered Red Bull's decline? Marko was transparent in characterizing the team's performance as poor, clarifying that the main issue was related to the compounds. According to his explanation, the tires simply could not sustain the required performance during long stints. In the first segment, the compounds deteriorated prematurely. In the second change, the team bet on a possible recovery of positions, but after a few promising laps, the pace simply faded. The most curious aspect is that, during a few laps, Verstappen managed to match the pace of the leaders, recording times of 1 minute and 19 seconds and 5/10. This proves that the car has potential, but some essential element is failing in tire management. Marko stated that the organization believes it understands what went wrong, although this was not a problem exclusive to the Hungarian track, indicating a more comprehensive deficiency in the design. What intensifies the concern is that this difficulty may manifest itself again on other circuits with similar characteristics. The situation worsened when Verstappen was involved in an incident with Lewis Hamilton at Turn 4. The 7-time world champion, currently driving for Ferrari, was forced to abandon the race when the Dutchman attempted a maneuver on the inside. The International Automobile Federation has launched an investigation into the incident, but Verstappen expressed complete bewilderment at the controversy, simply stating that he does not understand the reason for the investigation. Verstappen's teammate Yuki Tsunoda had an even more problematic afternoon. Starting from the pit lane due to technical complications, the Japanese driver only managed to finish in 17th place, showing that Red Bull's difficulties are not limited to the main car. The frustrating double performance reveals a technical crisis that transcends an unfavorable weekend. The 4-week summer break that is about to begin could be decisive for Red Bull's fate. With the season returning to Zandvoort at the end of August, the Austrian organization has a limited period to find alternatives to its structural difficulties. However, will 4 weeks be enough to reverse a situation that appears to have much deeper roots? Traditionally, significant modifications to Formula One cars during the season are extremely complex due to regulatory restrictions. Marko's statement about the title being out of reach raises questions about the team's strategy for the remainder of the season. Will Red Bull focus all its efforts on developing the 2026 car? Or is there still a glimmer of hope hidden behind the scenes in Milton Keynes? The fact that Verstappen was able to match the pace of the leaders for a few laps suggests that the potential remains, but instability in tire management could prove to be a much more intricate problem to solve. McLaren's rise, on the other hand, seems unstoppable. Norris and Piastri are an extremely effective duo, and the Woking-based team has finally found the consistency it has been seeking for years. 7-1-2 finishes in a season is a remarkable achievement that demonstrates not only raw speed, but also exemplary pit operations and sharp strategy. McLaren has managed to find the ideal balance between car performance and organizational execution. For Verstappen, the current situation represents a completely new challenge in his career. Accustomed to controlling races and championships, the Dutchman now has to deal with the frustration of having a car that simply cannot compete for victories. His harsh frankness in acknowledging that he questions whether he can win more races this season highlights the seriousness of the situation, but also his maturity in accepting the current reality. The summer break will be a time for deep reflection for the entire Red Bull team. The team that has dominated Formula One in recent years now needs to find quick solutions to problems that seem to have accumulated during the campaign. Tire control, which has always been a strong point of the Austrian operation, has now become its main vulnerability. Christian Horner and his technical team will need to work hard to identify the origins of these difficulties. The pressure on Adrian Newey, the brilliant designer who will soon be leaving the team, is also intensifying. Is his departure already influencing technical development? Or are the current problems the result of design decisions that are only now revealing their limitations? The loss of Newey represents much more than simply the departure of a colleague. It is the loss of decades of technical expertise that have been essential to Red Bull's success. What we witnessed in Hungary may have been the definitive turning point of the 2025 season. Red Bull, which for years has been synonymous with excellence and supremacy, now faces the harsh reality of having to rebuild its dominance from scratch. Marko's statement about the title being out of reach is not only an admission of failure, but also a recognition that something fundamental needs to change in the team's technical philosophy. Formula One has always been a sport of periods, and we may be witnessing the end of an era of dominance and the beginning of a new period in the history of the category. McLaren seems to be leading the way in this new era, but Red Bull has the resources, expertise, and experience to return to the top. The question is whether they can do so this season, or whether they will have to accept that 2025 will be a year of learning and rebuilding. What do you think? Has Red Bull really lost the season, or is there still a chance for an epic comeback? And will McLaren be able to maintain its supremacy until the end of the championship? Share your opinion in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any analysis of the hottest behind-the-scenes action in Formula One.